Hi everyone, my name is Emma McCaffrey. I'm from Edinburgh. I'm an actor with the company London Theatre. Um, to start things off, I was born into the Salvation Army. For those of you who don't know, this is a church with bands and a lot of singing. And as a minister's kid, I got the full, force your kid to sing for Jesus thing. I still believe in God. I actually still perform in the bands as well. So I play tenor horn, but you don't want to hear me sing, not unless you're looking for your eardrums to be damaged. Despite this, I was a very shy kid amongst my own peers. I would say my best friends were older people. In fact, going into school, my only friends were, in fact, one or two of my teachers. At the age of 5, I was diagnosed with learning difficulties, and I had a teacher called Mrs. Shirley who helped me with my work and tried hard to build my confidence in speaking in class or asking for help. I would say she was my best friend. Um, my childhood was like a lot of teachers tell me that all I need to do was to do my best and I would make friends, uh, friends with, you know, children who didn't care to talk to me, basically. Personally, I don't blame them. Looking at my childhood pictures is like watching a horror movie. I looked like Chucky. I sounded like him. you know, no wonder no kid wanted to talk to me. And also, I couldn't really care less. It seemed to me that having lots of friends brought its own problems, and I was happy to be left alone. Still, teachers told me I had to try to make friends, so I did. Still no party invite. Still getting a now all too familiar roll of the eye. You ever had a kid roll their eyes at you? So I stopped trying. My first acting classes was in ABA therapy uh, because obviously I was diagnosed with autism, so one of the treatments was ABA therapy. If anyone has children who end up with autism, don't put them through that therapy. I wouldn't call it therapy. If you want a child who's going to be told they have to be polite, be quiet, not to fuss, keep things to themselves, and if something's wrong, then not to say anything, go ahead. um, but it's not a nice thing to go through or to watch. And thankfully, my parents were like, all they're doing is treating our daughter like she's a dog who needs to learn new tricks. Although short, my time was short there. What I learned in ABA therapy was different. Wrong. Try to be like everyone else. Good. You have anxiety or sensory issues. Tough luck. We're just going to ignore you until you say hello or stop your crying. So, yeah, the methods I think were outdated. If our behavior is challenging, it's not actually our fault. We tell kids to be themselves, but apparently we can't be too much of ourselves. And still, like, I find myself acting in my real life. I memorize a script when I go into a cafe, for example, or to the doctors. I memorize a telephone call, and I try to present myself in a way that's going to make people comfortable, especially when I'm looking for jobs outside of Monha. Um, I have to betray myself in a way. I feel like I have to do that. A lot of effort. Um, but I will say, like the first time I went on stage proper was in primary 6 and 7, which was the year I was diagnosed. My teacher, Mrs. Clark, was an actor part time as well. Mrs. Clark, as I called her then, decided to do a musical, The Wizard of Oz, with her class. I was cast as Glinda, but then the Scarecrow apparently didn't want to be the Scarecrow anymore. So I offered to switch. And according to my mum, I went on stage and all the parents of the kids were completely stunned at my performance. Um, I have footage of it.
I can blow away the hours, go further with the flowers, consulting with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching while I was so busy hatching if I only had a brain. I
again, I wasn't the best singer in the world, so I'll only share a little bit of this. It was a very strange experience for me, but it felt, I was doing something I liked to do and people approved of it, and it was something I was good at. And so I clung to the idea of going on stage at that point. I unfortunately couldn't study acting until I went to my second secondary school, Gravemount. And I did pretty well. I got an A in intermediate two for directing Pygmalion and playing Kate Keller in All My Sons. And I got a B in higher. Unfortunately, after I left school, my my guidance teacher was like, I'd be lucky to work in retail, which thankfully I never did. Um, but I ended up in college for 3 years to do music, but I wanted to do acting. And I tried about 5 times in different colleges to no avail. I just wasn't good at presenting myself. Then one day in 2013, a weird thing happened. I was assaulted outside the Lyceum Theatre. An usher was talking to two actors at the stage door. I was waiting outside after seeing the show, A Taste of Honey, and he decided to pretend to be drunk. So without looking behind him, he was waving his arms about and he struck me the back of the head and he fell on the road. I stuck around for a bit because I felt, mortified for the fella. We talked about like him auditioning for stuff as well. In the end, he asked me why it was I thought maybe I wasn't getting any auditions, and I bluntly said probably because I can't present myself. I'm autistic, I can't present myself in a likable way. So he wrote down One Half Theatre Company on the back of the receipts. I auditioned after seeing the show Moliere. My dad was a bit concerned because he was like, a learning disabled company, does that mean they hold hands? But thankfully, he came to see the show and he saw the professionalism of these guys. And so I auditioned, and Lonhar can't get rid of me anymore at the point of this recording if it's going to be shown. I'm currently on the first week of production week of The Unexpected Hiccup, which is why you're watching a video and not seeing me. Sorry. My connections with the National Theatre of Scotland, I actually saw Black Watch back in 2011, just for like the last year of my high school. But then I was approached by the NTS to help create, but also perform in The Reason I Jump. The Reason I Jump was based on the book of the same name by Naoki Higashida, whose autism makes him mute, amongst other stuff. And whilst we were very faithful to the book and explored his questions and answers, we also, the actors, most of them who were autistic, brought in our own personal stories. I think my favorite line, I mentioned like the loneliness that autistic people feel. And I said, some people say, oh, you seem fine, Emma. And then they turn around and walk away and I never hear from them again. I think it's because people think that autistic people like to be alone, but we don't want to be lonely. We just need our time and space. And I need my space. And thankfully, the NTS were very good at creating space for us and giving us a very good environment, especially me, because unfortunately my dad passed away 3 weeks before rehearsal. So that was a hard time to do it. But I really enjoyed it. Especially because in my head, I was like, that's no way I can even think about. I didn't even think about doing an NTA show. I thought that was like way out of my comfort zone. Besides doing non-harm stuff, I do have an independent filming company, whatever you call it, it's a YouTube channel called Reluctant Penguin Productions. You can find them on YouTube. I've created a couple of films on there, and as well as showing at the time this film will be shown, I'm about to release my playwright debut, Yui's Unique Adventure, which was directed by my friend Amy, who's also autistic. And it's basically a play that's based on the many women that I met in sessions through charities like Number Six and Nunha, and of course the NTS themselves. It's all put together into one story. So I hope you can look out for that. This last year, I think, was tough. Despite all these accomplishments, a lot of things were shown to me that made me very uncomfortable. Because, as a disabled person, it's really hard to admit to yourself that uh, I guess we're not doing enough to showcase other people's work in a sense. The past year has highlighted many issues with, exclusion, both in race, gender, and disability. We can argue disability is the lowest or the least acknowledged. We have to start helping each other to create more work, but also showcase and scream, for money and attention. We just have to keep trying. And I know I'm just one voice, but at least it's a voice. I'd like to thank Rachel Clive for inviting me to do this. I hope I hope you understood everything I said. You can, if you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Emma McCaffrey 13, or on Facebook if you're old, um, or you don't do Twitter. Just and also view Reluctant Penguin Productions for my work and other stuff that I do. I showcase disability performers on that, both musicians, dancers, etc. And I showcase the charity get together through that. Donate to Lonha, and hopefully come and see the show Unexpected Hiccup. Thank you.